So here are the overlaps of human and NTM habitats. They're in the household plumbing, and we use that on a regular basis. They're in peat-rich soil, especially potting soil, so home gardeners can be exposed. NTM are aerosolized from showers, water taps, hot tubs, humidifiers. There's a good deal of history about hot tub lung and mycobacterial infection. I bought a humidifier, one of these new effective ultrasonic, which tickled me. And it has a little vibrating ceramic disc, and it makes a terrific mist. And you can guess why I'm excited about them, because they generate a huge mycobacterial aerosol. Every humidifier should be taken out in the yard and smashed. You can find young children who love to take a very heavy hammer to something. Having been in a fraternity house in college, I discovered that you could raise enormous amounts of money by putting a car on your front lawn and charging $1 to take 5 sledgehammer hits. And they'll do it all day long until finally you just have some small little dense thing like that. I worry about humidifiers in homes. They're attached to the heating and cooling system. They're fed with water from the drinking water, and it percolates down through kind of a porous filter-like material. One young man whose parents have NTM disease down in Florida called me and asked if we could sample their house. And it was during our NTM study, and I said yes. And I was just admired that this young man was looking after mom and dad, and they were in their 80s. And he's an engineer. Engineers think differently. I have an engineer son. He's a different kettle of fish. Well, he sampled the refrigerator water tap. Now, my wife and I, although we have a refrigerator water tap on some refrigerators in the house, don't use it because if the little line breaks, you end up with a leak that may not be detected for months, and it'll ruin the floor and the subfloor and all kinds of stuff. Well, this young man sampled the water from that because his mother had heard from her physician that she was to take and drink 6 8-ounce glasses of water a day. Well, she did. She took them out of this. When Myra Williams, my technician, took that water without disinfecting it or anything, we can do that with drinking water, put it on the medium on which the mycobacteria grow, we had about 10,000 colonies of mycobacteria. That was only in 1/10 of a milliliter, so that refrigerator chilling system generated a culture of mycobacteria of about 100,000 per milliliter. It's not turbid. You would not see it because it takes more microbial cells. We also, with the help of a number of patients, started thinking about filters. Now, many of you may have, and the refrigerator hot water system, or the refrigerator water system does have a filter unit in it, and you look at the end of the filter and it'll change color when it needs to be changed. For the most part, those filters are granular activated charcoal, burnt toast. It absorbs chlorine, heavy metals, and organic matter, so your water tastes better. And it truly does taste better, and that's been tested and proven over and over again. But the pores don't prevent bacteria from going through. They're not that small. So it's not a microbiological filter. But the mycobacteria, and I think several other organisms, love filters. Why? Because that's where all the organic matter is. The chlorine is there, but they don't care about the chlorine. It's being inactivated, or they're already resistant to it. The heavy metals are essential. They can use them for growth. So you see increases in numbers of microorganisms in those filters. And this includes all kinds of filters, reverse osmosis filters and others. So I start getting very suspicious of these things that we have around us, that they may be contributing and actually amplifying numbers of the mycobacteria. I am most concerned about recirculating hot water systems because in our experience, in hospitals, in high rises, in apartment buildings, that's where we find these very high numbers of 100,000 per milliliter. Recently with Dr. Tony Kishner, who's a sinus physician in New York City, if you want to ask him any questions or you just type in sinus in your web browser, he was very bright. He got that as his URL. And he called me and we collaborated on a study, and he had patients who had chronic sinusitis. Chronic, they had been treated with antibiotics, didn't get better. We found mycobacteria that matched the mycobacteria that they had in their sinuses. He actually took the initiative ahead before we and he got together to have the labs do mycobacterial cultures on their sinuses. And when we started asking the patients, many of them literally irrigated their sinuses from time to time for relief by using the tap water directly. Don't use tap water directly. Or boil it, or buy a sterile saline solution. Control measures. Households with hot water heaters set above 130 degrees are less likely to have NTM. That then translates into advice that I have given people without proving it. Turn up your hot water heater temperature, and we will be testing that. So stay tuned. But mycobacteria grow slowly, so be patient. Households using well water are less likely to have NTM, because well water doesn't have many NTM, groundwater, surface water. Recirculating hot water systems have high NTM numbers. Dust generated by handling dry potting soil have NTM. One of the best ways of avoiding that problem is to just soak the potting soil before you use it. It comes in a bag. Fill the bag with water and just pick it up. You're already getting dirty. Don't worry about things. Wear gloves. But that'll do that, or you can wear a dust mask. That'll work as well. But potting soil can be a real problem. Now, I have a show and tell. I'm a grandfather. I was born to be a grandfather because my mental age is about 5. So when you come to school, you have to have a show and tell. And here is my show and tell. This is actually my daughter's shower curtain from the basement. You will notice, ladies and gentlemen, that the color is not the same from top to bottom. It's pink down here. It really is pink. Well, what does that have to do with what we're talking about? Well,